Oh, it's not quite so crowded in here today. That was a wonderful crowd last week, but man, I felt sorry for having to wait outside and things. But anyway, just the right size, close enough to stay warm, but lots of good people. How many of y'all here for a seminar for the first time? Anybody here for the first time around? Very good. Well, welcome, guys. We sure appreciate having you. Topic today is just kind of everything about general landscape maintenance and what you ought to be doing this time of year. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Again, I always have to, first on disclaimer, if you've got a question or you don't understand something that I'm talking about, please stop me at that time. If it's something I'm going to talk about later, I'll put you off for a few minutes. If it's something that we need to talk about then, I will be happy to stop and answer that. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Back in my teaching days, I found that if somebody thought they had a dumb question, probably 80% of the class wanted an answer to that. But you know the way we do things, if you don't want to admit to something in your own yard, you simply say, my neighbor couldn't come and they had a question for you. So that's how you handle anything that you might think is a dumb question or anything you don't want to admit to going on in your own landscape. But as always, everything we do is organic, and we're going to be talking about some organic products today. And things are just so different when you are doing things organically. It is so much easier and so many fewer problems. Come right on in.
Sorry.
Don't ever be sorry for coming to a garden talk. What are you bringing me?
He's supposed to break home nematodes.
Bill Evers, pick up nematodes your wife called. There he is. Okay. That's a pretty good deal. That's a very good deal. No honeydew list here. Yeah, you're a member of the Melon Club. Honeydew this, honeydew that. Yeah, I know all about that. Yeah. Okay. Might as well not let the trees. Well, looks like there's some more folks coming. We'll get them to close that door in a minute. Organics are just so much easier if you're following what the county agent's saying right now. When are you supposed to fertilize? I think it's on the third new moon after the fourth Tuesday in April or something like that. And there are all these rules you have to follow. There are all these very specific times that you have to do everything. And folks that are using chemical products, especially fertilizers, have to go by these rules, so to speak. Would you pull that door too, sir? Well, I see one more coming in. We'll let him come in and don't want everybody to be too cold. With organics, when you fertilize, people call and ask me, when should I put my organic fertilizer down? I tell them, well, I would do it after 7 in the morning, before 6 at night, because it's easier to do when you can see what you're doing. Is there a bad time? No. Can you put it on when the foliage is wet? Absolutely. You go out and put fertilizer, chemical fertilizer out on a day like this, every little fertilizer particle that sticks to a leaf blade, come on in. Every little bit of fertilizer that sticks to a leaf blade, wherever, is going to just burn the heck out of stuff. And yeah, you should never put chemical fertilizer out on a wet day. On a day like this, no problem for organics. What happens if you put chemical fertilizer out too early? Well, if it doesn't get taken up by the plant almost immediately, come on in. It washes away, it washes down to pollute the aquifers and, streams and rivers, things like that. It just doesn't happen with organics. So now is the time that you really need, if you haven't already done so, you pretty much need to feed everything in the landscape. A lot of people say, oh, we're going to feed the lawn. Yeah, you're going to feed the lawn, but you also better feed your grass and trees and shrubs and ground covers and flowers and everything else out there. So it is time to get that fertilizer out if you haven't done it in the past month or 6 weeks. One of the other big differences between chemical fertilizers and organic fertilizer, and you don't have to remember this, I just think it's interesting to know, but everybody remembers, hopefully, from your old chemistry days or physics days or whatever else, that like charges repel and opposite charges attract. Positive is attracted to negative. Positive put against positive pushes things away. You've taken those two magnets and you try to push them together, you know, if you got them turned the wrong way, you can't get them to go together, but if you turn them around, they go together and they lock up, right? Positive attracts negative, but positive repels positive. Well, our soils are full of negatively charged clay particles. Why is that important? Well, if the folks that are still putting out chemical fertilizers, the nutrient material in chemical fertilizers, mainly the nitrates and the nitrites and the phosphates, these things all have a negative charge. When you put them on negatively charged soil, what happens? They don't bond in any way, form, or fashion. In the first rain or whatever else, they wash away. Not only do your plants not get the benefit of that nutrient, but phosphates especially are just devastating in our water supplies. They create huge algae growth, which then is sort of a boom and bust cycle. It all starts dying, depletes the oxygen level in the water, all the fish and everything else die out. As a matter of fact, outside the delta of the Mississippi River, where the Mississippi empties into the Gulf, there is now what they call the dead zone. How big is the dead zone? It's bigger than 3 or 4 northeastern states. There's an area of somewhere, I think it's close to 1,000 square miles, that there's no life out there. There are no fish, there are no crabs, there are no mollusks, there's no anything out there. It's just a pure dead area. Why is that? What has caused that? It's all the agricultural fertilizers washing down the Mississippi and causing all these problems. So the problem with one of the problems with chemical fertilizers, most all of your nutrient is in the form that has a negative charge and what they call anions, and they are not bonded to the soil in any way. The great majority of it washes away. That's why application time is so important and why your fertilizer is probably less than 20% efficient most of the time. Your organic fertilizers, on the other hand, most of the nutrient material is in what we call an ammoniacal form. It has a positive charge. When you put that on a negatively charged soil, what happens? It bonds to the soil. It is held in place until the plants are ready to use it. Plants have this miraculous ability to, well, they release a more positive or a more powerful positive charge, something they call a hydrogen ion. Come on over here. That literally breaks loose, you know, this nutrient material, makes it available to the plants. So organic fertilizers are not nearly as polluting as chemical fertilizers are, and organic fertilizers are much more efficient as far as how much of the actual nutrient material the plant gets to use. And again, it really upsets me on things like, gosh, I heard should have been a relatively informed engineer talking about the PGA Village saying, oh, we can't use organic fertilizers, that would pollute the aquifer. No way. Huh. Chemical fertilizers are far more polluting than organic fertilizers are, regardless of what kind of organic fertilizer you're using. I'm actually more concerned these days in almost every case when we talk about pollution. I'm a lot more concerned about the polluting that chemical fertilizers do than I am the pesticides these days. We've got stuff in the soil that will break down most pesticides. We've got life in the soil that will take care of that. But this matter of excessive phosphates and nitrates, this is a really serious problem. And when you look at how the dead zone outside of our river deltas is growing, it's just a real serious issue that chemical companies do not want to talk about. Now, I do still have people say, well, organic fertilizers, that's just cow poop or whatever else. No, it may or it may not be. There are 3 basic different kinds of organic fertilizers. The first is one that I do not really care for, and it's what they call biosolids fertilizer. They call it biosolids today because people don't like saying sewage sludge. And that's what biosolids fertilizers are. If you want Milwaukee sewage sludge, you buy Milorganite. If you want Houston sewage sludge, you buy Huactinite. If you want